Hey everybody, Mark WEISSGUY Weiss here. Thanks for watching and listening to some conversation I had with the Blog of Rock.
Hello, welcome to the Blog of Rock, your hard rock and heavy metal podcast music magazine. My name is Uwe Lerch and I will take you backstage to the rock stars. Of course, we chat about the music that connects us all, about new records, about life plans and what used to be. But we also talk about the people behind it, what inspired and motivated them, and what kind of rockstar tips do they have for you out there. In the show notes, that is the description of this episode that you are hearing about right now, you will find a central link for all usage that will also take you to my official Facebook group. I would be happy if we get to know each other there. Are you ready for the start? Well, then come with me. In the last episode, we got into the time machine with photographer Mark Weiss, also known as WEISSGUY, and landed back in the 80s. Here Mark told us about the encounters with the rockstars at iconic music events, such as the Jazz Festival, Live Aid, or the Moscow Love and Peace Festival. This time we talk about his photo work with Bon Jovi, Ozzy Osbourne, Guns N' Roses, Sebastian Bach, Kiss, and also Doro. You can find all the pictures in his book The Decade That Rocked, which is now also available in Europe on Amazon. All relevant links are ready for you within the show notes of this episode. Then I also wanted to know who was his most difficult customer and how his business developed after the 80s. So buckle up again and get into the rocket. So let's dive into the book again. Of course, you made a lot of iconic pictures from artists, but I thought that the most iconic picture you did doesn't show an artist, but a girl's breast in a yellow wet t-shirt. Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you see it yourself? The slippery on wet cover?
Oh, this one? The original?
Yeah. So this is also done by you.
Yeah. This is, there was actually 5 different covers. It was first called Wanted, Dead or Alive, Wanted. And I had them dress up like cowboys and they grew beards and I put them on a Wanted poster and we shot them in Vancouver in in a dingy, dusty old, warehouse where it looked like a hideout. And that was the theme in the beginning. I spent a lot of time and effort and film and location scouting. And everyone loved the photos, but then they decided that it was a little bit too, they wanted it to be a little more lively and they didn't want it to be so dark, I guess you could call it. So we scrapped that idea and then we came up with Slippery When Wet. I think the idea came from, a road sign, Doc seeing the road sign and then, we're all hanging out at the strip club and the girls would be descending from, the poles and they would go in these plastic booths, showered with water on it. So we kind of put 2 and 2 together and came up with Slippery When Wet. So then when I went back to New Jersey and the band was done recording, they had me do some scouting and we ended up doing the photo shoot with the cars and by John's apartment down by the beach. And then that day when we were doing the shoot with the band, we didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know at that time it was just a photo shoot with the concept. We didn't know it was going to be a girl with big breasts with a t-shirt. We had them in there. So we wanted one girl to stand out. And literally we just went across the street and found this girl, Angela, and then ended up putting a t-shirt on her. Someone we found just 5 minutes before the shoot. Everyone else was there. Most of the other girls that were there that we got, like the guys' friends and girlfriends and, friends of friends, there was no one with really large breasts, So we needed to find someone and we did. Actually Tico and my assistant, Danny Sanchez, went over across the street and just came back with Angela.
What a lucky career.
Yeah. And then after we saw the photos, we're like, we see so Angela in the middle of the photo where your eyes would just go there. We're like, let that be the cover, So we just shot her by herself against the blue background. I had a plexiglass in the front of it to resemble, the strip thing, whatever. And then we just, had some fun, photos of her breasts.
Rest is history.
Little spray bottle, little ice, perk things up a little bit. And that was it. That was it. So we thought that was it until the PMRC hearing was kind of going on, which I was there previously with Dee Snider at Sister. And I was there, Dee was fighting for the freedom of speech and not to get those stickers on it.
I recall.
So all that was going on, and Walmart and a lot of the, the stores that would carry, mainstream records, they didn't want it to get, blacklisted, and not, the word was out that this cover, or it was already printed, was going to be going out, and then word got back to the record companies like, you gotta scrap this. It doesn't matter how many copies I think they printed like 200 or 300,000 copies already.
Really?
And they just threw them in the garbage. I think it was released in Japan, and we had to come up with another idea really quick. So that's when John just called me up like the day before. It would have been if we didn't do it we didn't come up with an idea that day, then the record would have been on hold, and it had to go out on that day, just the way the marketing was set up. So he just came in and he just, he said, he said, I'm coming over to the studio, get me a black plastic bag and, get a spray gun with some water. I put some oil in it to make it like kind of drippy, and I sprayed it on, and he came in. As soon as he got up the elevator, he just wrote "slippery when wet," and he's like, "That's it." And I said, "Do you want to see the Polaroids?" He goes, "No, just send it. That's the cover. Done." And that was it.
And how was the bill just on this?
Oh, it's, the thing is, it ends up that I didn't even bill him for any of those shoots because, I used to take so many photos of them, and I used to like get them into the magazines.
Yeah,
so,
okay, I understand. Yeah.
It went through so many different incarnations that I forgot to even bill him for the cover. I mean, they used the picture for other things, like, for T-shirts that I would, make money on here and there as but for the actual album cover, I don't think I ended up getting. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Let's talk about some of our favorite artists. You already mentioned Ozzy, where you have a really close relation to, and how did you get in touch with Ozzy and the camp? And is there any story you would like to share with us about him?
Well, the first time I met him was I had an assignment from Circus Magazine to do a shoot called Most Athletic. It was called a high school yearbook, and he was known to jump up and down a lot. So, we gave him Most Athletic. There was supposed to be a small black and white photo. So we did a shoot for that, and that consisted of, to my surprise, he came out with, I brought boxing gloves. He came out in a pink tutu. And when he came out with the pink tutu, I saw his boots in the corner, red boots. I said, how about we just put that on? It kind of like a play of all fairies wear boots. And he did it. He was a good sport. We did that. We thought, all right, it's going to be a small black and white, not a big deal. And I did other photos too of him just, looking cool, rock star stuff. And that was supposed to be the cover. But when I handed it in to the magazine, they ended up running the photo in color on the cover. And to everyone's surprise, it wasn't supposed to be the Prince of Darkness in a pink tutu with boxing gloves on the cover. So it kind of didn't put me in a good light in the beginning with the Osbourne camp. But then we started getting a lot of good attention from it, and the record started doing good. And then we kind of, it ended up being a good thing, and we ended up doing more kind of crazy shoots out,
I saw the Easter Bunny picture you just posted a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's, that was, in 1984, I believe I shot that, or 1983 or 1984, and that was another little kind of accident. And he came to my studio. We were supposed to do a photo shoot for Faces magazine, and Ozzy comes in and he goes, "What's that over there?" And I looked, and it was an Easter Bunny outfit and a trestle, with flowers. And I didn't even know what it was because I shared my studio with a commercial photographer. So it kind of caught me by surprise. And Sharon and Ozzy walked in, and I quickly said, I said, what do you mean? What's that? That's what you're gonna wear for the cover. He's like, what? And then he looked, he's like, really? I said, yeah, let's do a hop to it, And he's like, he looked at Sharon, and it's like, and she goes, have fun, boys. And she left. And then I actually got him in the costume. We had fun, but, and then afterwards we did some other shots. And then
show a little bit. I'm sure you're prepared some pictures of Ozzy for us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we got the photos that we used, but those photos of the Easter Bunny, I didn't put out. I didn't even show Sharon them until like 10, 15 years later when I said, I just sent it to her on one Easter as a joke, and she posted it because I didn't want to post Ozzy, the Prince of Darkness, into this bunny outfit, But then once Sharon posted it, Ozzy posted it on his social media. I said, the bunny's out of the closet, So then I started posting it every year, and it was okay, of course,
That's funny. That's funny. So you have got a prepared Ozzy picture from your book to show us?
Oh, I will show you. Actually, I'll show you that. Actually, in this book, we have 3 gatefolds. And I'll show you how it works here. This is from a shoot.
Oh.
That was from the shoot. It was called Diary of a Mad Housewife. We kind of did a play on words for a magazine cover. And we kind of ironed Amy. And then this is the gatefold, how it opens up.
The bunny. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's great.
So
happy Easter.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. And
yeah,
then,
so the Aussie stories are great. Oh yeah.
This is when they were on the road with Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Him and Vince. It's another one of our shoots.
Another star you've been pretty close, which was not easy to catch for interviews in Europe, but you got a better contact, was Axl Rose, or the Guns N' Roses guys, because they were quite problematic in the beginning for us. Even later on, it was not easier, but you met them really at the beginning.
Yeah, I was 1986. I actually just photographed Sebastian Bach when he was in a band called Madam X, and that was when Sebastian's hair was like really high, and then I went to California to do a photo for Hit Parader. They wanted me to shoot Guns N' Roses because this is before their album was even out, but there was a big buzz on them, and the record company set up a shoot. And at the time, they didn't really want to shoot with me because they had their own photographer, and the publicist Bryn insisted. I had a relationship with Bryn with Motley Crue when she was over at Elektra, and she helped set up some photo shoots with Motley Crue. And she kind of put her foot down, said, it's really important. You really should shoot with other photographers. He can help you get into some magazines. And, she went to bat for me, and they agreed. It was a quick shoot. I went over to where they were recording and set up a background. And Axl, had his hair. That's when his hair was really spiked up. And he had pants on and it said "Glam Sucks" on it. And then he really would never look at me, and he kind of, and on his pants, he had his hand on his pants and he has it's like he was giving me the finger, to most of this photo shoot,
Mm-hmm.
So that's in the magazine, in the book. And then I don't know, they liked the photo shoot, and that was his way of kind of not giving me the finger, but just like, you know, just a contradiction to glam sucks. And here's this like, fuck everybody, I guess, you know. It was a message, you know, to show that he was
certain attitude at that time.
Yeah, yeah, and nobody knew who he was really, you know, and so that ended up being, I believe, on the cover of the magazine, and then they got some good press out of it, and ball started rolling, and then they came to New York when they played at CBGB's, and they did the Ritz show, and Bryn, you know, I guess the guys liked me, and they came to my studio, and did a nice photo shoot. Then they told me to come over to CBGB's where they're doing an acoustic set. And an autograph signing, and did some photos around CBGB's, which are some iconic photos that, you know, them hanging out in front, and that's featured in the magazine. And then I think after that, they opened up for Motley Crue, and that's how I got the cover. When I went there shooting Motley Crue, they were opening up, and they were just hanging around, and I was friendly with Steven Adler, and I asked Steven if he would help me set up a photo shoot with the guys. Can you ask Axl that, because they were all in the dressing room, can you ask Axl, tell him I'm here shooting Motley, and I want to just I have my lights out here. Can we do a photo shoot? And he said, come back after the show. So I did. And right before Motley went on, I said, I got to go. You know, can we do it? And they said, yeah. And I went backstage, and Axl was in a towel, you know, and his boots. And I says, oh, you want me to come back? He says, no, let's take the photo. And, you know, and then he gave me the finger on that one too. And that's the cover shot. So it kind of like, you know, it goes full circle. And then I shot him again when they, in '88, when I was just in LA, and I reached out to Bryn. I said, you know, are there guys around, you know, why don't we do just a really impromptu shoot at the Sunset Grill, like, you know, just really easy, and do some photos. And they all agreed to do it, and everyone showed up except Axl. So I have individual photos of all the band on one day, and then Axl came the following day. So I got all 5 of them, but, you know, it's not a band photo in front. Yeah. But those, again, Axl had the full beard, and that's like opens the book up.
That's great. Can you show us a picture from this?
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is the Florida. This is from the same shoot for
the young Axl. Axl.
He put his clothes on. He put his clothes on there. And then this is the CBGB's photos. And then this is the gatefold too.
Oh, great.
Slash.
Yeah.
And then this is from my studio in New York City. Then they came up.
Another guy you've already mentioned, I think he's also a close friend of yours, is Sebastian Bach from Skid Row.
Yeah, yes. So I met Sebastian, and like I was saying before, I shot the Guns. Madam X hired me in 1985 to shoot them with Brett, who was the singer. He had like half white hair.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, this band with Roxy.
Yes, and Don Arden was managing him. So they hired me to come out and shoot Madam X. That's how I met them, and that's featured in the book. You know, that picture. And then a year later, I got a call from Roxy or Maxine, and she said, I have a band with a new singer. And I went, okay, that's cool. So, you know, fly me out there. You know, I gave them my fee. They had an investor. And, you know, that's when I first saw Sebastian. I was like, that guy looks like a rock star. And then they were rehearsing. So then they started singing. I was like, oh my God, that guy sounds like a rock star. And then I met him. You know, as soon as I met him, he brings me, he goes, hey, Mark, how's it going? You got to meet my hot girlfriend, you know, and he, you know, introduced me to his girlfriend. And I said, now that's a rock star, you know. He was like 17 years old, I think, you know. And so that's where we first met. And then fast forward, fast forward the next year, I had a wedding. You know, I got married in 1987. And I had my secretary invite, like I said, just invite all the bands that that I've shot and that I'm friends with. And I just kind of met them. I didn't, I knew them, but they weren't buddies. But I invited them, and I didn't think they were going to come. So they came. They came in their. They all drove in from Michigan, and Sebastian was at that time, I believe, like he was kind of not really in the band anymore, but he made sure he was going to be at my wedding, for whatever reason, fate have it. And they all went there. We all had a great time. And Zach was there. Zach just got into Ozzy, who I helped get introduced. I introduced Zach to Ozzy. And so he was at the wedding. And Kevin Dubrow was at the wedding. And at the end of the wedding, they all went up and they played Bang Your Head. And even me, I got up there too, as doing the back row. So that will be in the book as well. Those pictures for the first time after 1987.
That's why Sebastian has a kind of experience to be the best man, because I would say 10 years ago, I witnessed a wedding ceremony by the promoter of the Bang Your Head Festival, which is one of the biggest classic rock festivals in Europe. It's taking place usually, if there's not Corona, in the southern part of Germany. And Horst and Ines, his former girlfriend, now wife, they married with the best man, Dee Snider and Sebastian Bach.
Oh, wow.
So it was a great ceremony. It was in a tent next to the stage, and it was, of course, lots of press people there. It was a very nice thing for the media as well. Yeah.
Did he and Sebastian jam at all, or did they play together?
They played, yeah. He played there with his solo band, yeah, at that time. I think it was 2006, 2007, somewhere around this, yeah. So it was nice. That's where I met him too as well. So let's go to some even bigger guys, the bigger from space to Kiss, because you mentioned them already. You did pictures of them in the early days and then got arrested, but I'm sure you met them later on a couple of times, masked and unmasked.
Yeah, well, I started working for Faces magazine in '83 is when the magazine started, and we wanted to do a photo shoot. They just announced that they were taking their makeup off, and they just went on MTV to show themselves. And we took the opportunity, since my studio was in New York and they were in New York, and we asked them to if they would do a photo shoot. And so I did the photo shoot with them without makeup for the first time. And then they asked me to do some pictures, them rehearsing, and I started becoming their photographer. They liked me. Their management hired me. They needed to get into the magazines without their makeup. It's like a whole new thing. And I was able to help them assist to get into the magazines. So, they liked me, they trusted me. And, it was kind of ironic that, like, when I was 17, like maybe 4 or 5 years later, or before that, I was getting arrested, and a block away from the Madison Square Garden was my studio where I'm shooting them, and I always loved Kiss.
And never full circle.
Yeah, definitely full circle. And I started working with them. And then when they came out with Animalize, I did pictures for the cover and inside the tour books. And one of the tour books that they did, they used 4 photographs of the band, and it was a very conceptual shoot. A lot of playmates, a lot of each guy had their own kind of scenario. Like Paul had the nurses, and he was in a nurses.
Okay.
I created a a hospital bedroom, or kind of say, without the girls like crawling around. Gene had this throne with all the girls. Like, I'm talking like he wanted 20 girls. So there's like 20 girls in the room. Eric was in the jail with 2 girls, and Bruce was on a motorcycle with a girl. So those were in the tour book. So whoever has that tour book definitely has it. But they're going to be appearing for the first time in the book.
Cool. You got them ready for us?
Yeah, sure. There we go. All right, here we go. There we go. Girls.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Paul. And Oh, Eric had actually 4 girls.
Yeah,
And
and the boss.
he had a whole bunch.
When we talk about the girls, I mean not only the girls in the back, but also the girls in the front. We have one common friend, which is from Germany, actually, Doro. And I know you shot Doro also a couple of times, but you shot a very, very important cover of her career.
Right. That was it ended up being in Metal Hammer. It's right here. That was done. Yeah, she wanted to do something very like fantasy. So she loved wolves, and she liked the outdoors, and she liked smoky and
Mystical a bit.
Yeah. So she told me what she liked.
Yeah.
She walked into my studio, and that's what it looked like. And she was like, she just couldn't believe it. So, yeah, and she was great. She still is. I just saw her at the Monster Rock Cruise, and still has it. Always did. And we did a couple shoots after that as well.
Yeah, we've met a couple of times because when she started with Warlock in Germany, I started the magazine. It was around the same time, early 80s. And of course, we met in the little clubs at that time. And later on, when she became bigger and of course played the biggest festivals like Wacken Festival in Germany, we met a couple of times. And she's still so nice and so sweet. And she's so dedicated to her fans like almost no other artist I know.
No, it's true. Yeah. She never got married. She never had kids. She's a true rocker.
That's right. Yeah, and she's still successful in her way. And she does everything just to promote her music, but also she loves to be surrounded by her fans. That's what I really respect for her.
Yeah, no, those are her babies. Rock and roll.
She never gets tired, and yeah, that's. What was the most challenging rock star you worked with?
Oh.
Because up to now, it to me it sounded like you had a lot of fun, but I think that this is only the good side. I think there might have been some more challenging duties for you.
Well, there's really only been one actually, which is featured in my book. Let me see if I can find it. I always forget. Like my memory is so bad. Like I should know what year these bands that I shot. At least know that. I mean, I've lived this book for 4 years, but I still gotta I gotta go through it one day and just, well, I'll tell the story, and if maybe I find it, or you have to wait for the book to see it. But it was, I did a shoot for Danzig for the cover.
Yeah.
Not the cover, but the inner, like you pull it open, and it's like got the two sides on it, the gate, kind of a gatefold, and because the cover was the illustration of the skull.
Yeah, I recall that.
And so they just needed some new publicity photos and photos to be used in the packaging and whatnot. So they came to my studio, and they were, pretty much just kind of, I never met them before, and they were just kind of not that the friendliest. They were just quiet. I'm not going to say they're not friendly. They were just quiet. And then I just said, all right, let me just, no small talk. Let's just get right to work. And there they go. They were, I was kind of positioning them, okay, over here and there. And I brought Glenn a little further, because he's a little smaller. So I have the perspective. Yeah. If I bring someone smaller, it will make him look on the same height as them instead of just putting them all in a row. So, I was working them out. And then I said, okay, just, everything looked good in the photo composition wise. And I said, okay, Glenn, lean to me a little bit, just lean. Cause, he was like this. And when anyone does that, this thing gets to be a little bit doubled or whatever. So I said, just, lean into me a little bit, lean in, that's what I always used to say, lean, lean, like you can't hear me. Like I'm pulling you with a fishing string. I said, like, just hooked you, like come forward. I was trying every trick in the book, and they were just, all 4 of them would just stand there, and they all had like these double chins pretty much, And so, I went to the first guy. I didn't even know their names, So I went to the first guy, and I kind of moved him around a little bit, because I used to do that with all these other bands, Bon Jovi, Ozzy. I would like get in their face and kind of like joke around a little bit. Like sometimes I would tickle them a little, but I would actually move them when they didn't listen, when they didn't get it, like most of them got it, but some really didn't. They didn't understand like what I was, saying, or when I say lean forward, they would go like this, or, but I just needed them to do this. It was real simple, but some people just didn't get it. And those guys didn't get it. So when I started shuffling them around, the first guy, then the second guy, when I got to Glenn said, "Don't touch me." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so then I went to the next person, and, I didn't touch anyone then. And I said, "All right, that's it." So I went back, took a few more photos, and they ended up using the photo, and they liked the photographs. But then I think like a month later, I said, I talked to the record company. I'm like, how's everyone like the photos? Everything good? He goes, yeah, but Glenn doesn't really, want to work with you anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I said, did you do anything to piss him off? I said, the only thing I did, and I told him the story, and he's like, oh, you shouldn't have touched him.
Besides all of the rock stars, is there anybody you would have liked to take a shooting with from the, let's say, from the celebrity world, like any politician, actor, sports guy? Is there anybody whom you have missed so far? Would you like to have taken pictures of?
Yeah, I'm not really, I guess just...
because you covered everybody.
Right, but I would have liked to done a photo shoot with Mick Jagger. I think that would be cool. Mick Jagger for sure. But no, that's pretty much it. Really. I mean, Jimi Hendrix when he was alive.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All those, Janis and Jimmy, and Jim Morrison.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I pretty much, shot everyone that I, I admire, I respect, and I've been fortunate enough to do what I do, and people seem to take to me and my camera, so I'm fortunate when it comes to that.
So what happened when all the 80s bands at the beginning of the 90s, when there was a different kind of music genre coming, or different ones, so there were many of coming, so what happened to you? Did you went on doing pictures for other genres, or what happened to you? Because have you been booked for the same bands and did the same bands, but with less popular albums, or did you move on to other genres?
Well, what happened was, like, I ended my book with 1990, and I was on the Cherry Pie video with Warren, and that album did great. So it's like, I didn't think anything was going to stop as it did. Nobody did. We just thought it was going to keep going and going and going. And then, of course, things change. And I kind of kept going for a few years. Skid Row was still, popular, but still the magazines things were changing. And then Kiss came out, in 96. So that was a little bit of resurgence. And I feel like that kind of brought everything back again slowly, but not enough to, support myself or anything like that. And I always thought that with this body of work that I created in the 80s, that I'm pretty much set. I didn't think it was going to be held against me, and it's what it seemed like it was doing. I mean, I shot Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and for some Metal Hammer and some other magazines, but I didn't really connect with them. They didn't want to be photographed. They didn't want to have fun. They just wanted to play music and do it.
Different attitude and image at that time.
Yeah, which is fine, And then when God forbid, I should bring up that I did Slippery When Wet or Dokken or Cinderella, I knew not to say that. It's what I did, So I just took it. I took it like I was a new photographer pretty much. And then CMC Records had some classic rock. They had a classic rock label. So they had bands like Eddie Money and Leonard Skinner, Styx, a bunch of bands that I liked from the 70s, So now I was starting to work with them, doing their album covers and even doing some home videos and regular videos. So that kept me going for a good chunk of years. And actually, in the midst of all this, even in the 80s, I was working for Bravo magazine, shooting pop stars. Like even like back from Dagmar Dunlap, I used to work in Bravo. That was my first time I used to work for them in the early 80s, you know, like early 83, 84. I shot Alec Baldwin and all these things that she set up. So I have a bunch more photographs and things that I'm keeping under the covers for now, because I want to brand myself, or I am a rock photographer, but I do have, after this is out and I put out other things, the stuff that I have, like I have Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, their first shoots, you know, Justin Timberlake at his home, and, you know, how I got them from Bravo. You know, they hooked me up with these pop stars, and I would go do home shoots. I would do shoots at, you know, at their homes, on the road, videos. And so that gave me a lot of access, because Bravo is a big magazine, and a lot of bands broke there first. So I started in the 90s, started doing a lot of stuff there, like, you know, Christina Aguilera, when Genie in the Bottle came out. I ended up doing the photos on the video shoot, and then becoming friendly with the artists. You know, Christina liked me and wanted to use me. So I started being her photographer. I ended up doing an album cover for her and tour book. I went to Hawaii with, you know, I did some traveling. Black Eyed Peas, I met through Bravo, just Kesha. And then we started doing all the hip hop stuff, like Usher, and I mean, you name it, you know, like I have all these, you know, for a good 10 years. And, you know, then, you know, I worked with Alex, and I worked with Rachel, and it just snowballed into, like nothing really stopped, you know. And then when I would always shoot the bands that I loved, you know, but they would be playing clubs at that point, or they'd break up or come into other things. So I'd always stay in touch with them. And then they slowly became, you know, everyone started like getting themselves together and becoming, you know, rebranding themselves, you know, Poison, you know, Bon Jovi was always on the top. And I actually went on a 6-week South American tour with them. So I did their tour book. And so I went to Japan, you know, so I was kind of doing little bits and pieces. And I don't know, next thing you know it's 2020, you know.
The stadium tour would be the next big thing happening in the US, but I don't think it's gonna work. Would have been this a job for you, a stadium tour?
Yeah, well, I was just talking with some people that, because I had an idea, I wanted to go on a tour, a book tour. So I thought of like all the bands this summer were playing, like, you know, Alice Cooper, David Coverdale, you know, Whitesnake, Ted Nugent, and then the stadium tour. Just everyone was out on tour, so I wanted to like go where they played the day before they had their show, and maybe do some radio, help promote their show. Also have a gallery, maybe do some you know, foundation, tying up with some soup kitchens or something, and get some, you know, cross promotion, and then shoot the show, you know, and then go to another tour and do that, you know, just kind of, you know, I was looking for corporate sponsorship to get like a, you know, a traveling vehicle and wrap it with whatever, my photos or their product, maybe Canon, you know, the camera that I use. So I was just starting to do this when all this stuff happened. I was in conversations to do this, and I was excited. I was going to go with my girlfriend and just travel across the country, selling my books, you know, and talking, maybe doing some, you know, lecture things, some colleges. And, you know, I had a lot of plans, but the way I look at it is everything's going to happen a year later, you know? So.
But the music will not change in the book, and the memories will not change. This is something which goes on forever in the hearts of the people. That's a good thing. Yeah. So you can you can postpone it to next year. It's not getting old. You know, it's like a good red wine.
It's going to give, like right now, I've been doing social media like crazy. I always wanted to.
I know. Really, I'm following you. That's why I saw the trailer. You know, we have now Wednesday evening in Germany. And on Sunday morning, I saw the trailer of the Decade That Rock, and I thought, this is an interesting guy for doing an interview. Then I contacted you, and a day later, we already arranged this nice talk. This is crazy.
Well, I wanted to, like, I've never had the time for this book, because when I was doing this book, like, full on for 4 years, like, I was in here, I was putting off vacations, you know, because they kept telling me the deadline was, like, in 3 months. And then it ended up being like 4 years later, but I try to make it like perfect. And finally we got it done. And now I can like take a deep breath and work on social media, because I've had other people do it for me, and I've never been really happy with it. And I've always wanted to be hands-on and connect with the fans. And now I'm really connecting with everyone. Like anyone that writes, there's an email address at thedecadethatrocked.com. Anyone that writes, have a question, whatever. Anytime someone says I just did a pre-order, I'll write back, thanks, and write a little something. I also have anyone that does a pre-order before June 2nd, I'm doing a promotion where they get the cover photo of the Guns N' Roses, and I sign it, and I put the name on it and stuff.
That's cool.
And I sell for $200. I'm just saying, just pay shipping and handling, and I give them some postcards. And fans are posting and so we just got it. It's great. Thanks for the extra postcards. And so it's just, I've been wanting to do this, connect with the fans. And then I end my book with Eddie Trunk did the afterword. Actually, Rob Halford did the forward, and Eddie did the afterword. And right before the afterword is this fan. I used to get fan mail back in the '80s, and I used to just put it in a box, and I just organized it for the book. And I thought I wanted to put a lot of it in, but there wasn't room. So there was one that stood out that says it all. It was perfect. It's like almost I wrote it. So it's in there as a full page next to Eddie's afterward. It's just from a fan talking about me, and so I like fans, and I actually have a page on my The Decade That Rocked called Fanatic, and I have some of those I have the fan mail, and I used to always photograph the fans. So in every chapter, there's a photo of a fan from one of the bands of that chapter, and then there's a photo of me too with the band in that chapter. So it's kind of a consistency kind of a thing that I like, to do.
I really love to hear when people create their own brand, because I'm coming not only from the journalist side, but I also studied marketing, and I always loved branding. And when I saw initially the trailer, I saw the book, and then later followed you on your page, I really enjoy that you make the decision to create not only your personal brand, Mark Weiss or WEISSGUY, but also the brand on your own, which could be even a band logo. Yeah, the Decade That Rocked. This is something which I really liked, and it looks so natural and so authentic. I really want to say thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I really appreciate this. Of course, in Corona times, everybody maybe got some more spare time around. But so when is your next shooting? Do you know it already?
No, how can anyone know? It's, I don't know. I mean, I set up a studio in my house. So there's a lot of local bands, and whoever has the balls to call me to see if I'll shoot their band, I'll do it. And I'll do it very reasonably. I say, come on over, because, they think that I'm unreachable because of the success I had. But I love shooting new bands. So, if they come in, I have a reasonable price, and they come into the house. I'm working in my office while they spend, an hour or two getting dressed and getting ready. I'm here still working, hanging out, doing my thing. And then when they say they're all ready, I'll go out there for an hour and knock it off and give them something that they can work with and develop, just like I did with all the other bands that were just starting out. So, and then I have new friends, most of them end up being friends too. I like being around people.
That's right. Really like it. So when people now, they got a certain kind of appetite for your book, we can order it on Amazon in every country around the world. So it's available already. It's a pre-order status I've seen. And
you can pre-order it on Amazon right now. And then I know there's certain countries that don't, that Amazon doesn't sell to, but on June 2nd, if you go to the publisher's website, Insight Editions, they'll ship anywhere in the world for like a very inexpensive flat fee, like $12. They'll send it anywhere in the world. So that's because I've been getting calls from different different countries, not, texts and, comments. So, and then, eventually I might I'll get an allotment and do some signings since I can't go on tour, and maybe I have a bundle package on the Decade That Rocked where you have a slipcase and a photo and some postcards, so you can upgrade from the book to a little bit more detail.
The shrine.
Yeah, t-shirts. I'm working on t-shirts now too, so hopefully that will get in there, and just having fun with it.
Great. I'm really looking forward. I ordered already my copy as well at Amazon in Germany here. And if you want to do it. Here's the link. Go on, click on the link and order the book. And Mark, thank you very, very much for taking the time. I wish you all the best to come out of these crazy, crazy times now and keeping your memory for the Decade That Rocked. So all the best to you, Mark. Hope.
Thank you.
Oh, the Bible. It's almost the Bible, the 80s Bible. So thank you very much and take care. Bye-bye, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
Anyone who's really got an appetite for this Decade That Rocked and also has an empty list for Christmas should wish this masterpiece, weighing almost 3 kilos and almost 400 pages thick, or just give yourself a gift. Books educate people. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow me at the podcast dealer you trust so that you don't miss the next one. You will get the entire season as a free subscription service from Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Deezer, SoundCloud, YouTube, the Google Podcast Portal, and, of course, via my homepage, theblogofrock.com. You can also listen to the stories that have been already published there, because there's new food in here every week. And above all, tell your friends and share the good news on social media. Alright? Then let's hear again next time. Until then, keep on rocking.